Good morning. This is Dietrich at Linux Advocates. I am going to show you today a preview of Fedora, the next version, version 21, and it's called Fedora 21 Workstation. Fedora, are renaming the product to Workstation to differentiate from two other products that they're breaking out and creating. One is cloud and one is server. So a renaming has occurred. You are looking at the Workstation version that came out in beta on November 4th, yesterday. And this just happens to be a wallpaper that I picked. Now, Workstation is using GNOME Shell, and by default, this is a graphical interface that Fedora has chosen for a default, and Workstation uses it. There are other spins which avail the user to selecting Fedora but using a different graphical interface, and those are several. I won't touch on that too much other than to say that the major interfaces, KDE, Mate, LXDE, XFCE, are available. But this is about GNOME Shell, and GNOME Shell is, in this version I will show you. .14.15. So it came out in September as 3.14, and when Fedora gets released, presumably in December, after this final beta phase of testing, this is the graphical interface that will be incorporated in the version. Major version is 3.14. Okay, let me just move around here and show you different parts of the system. I've made my own customizations, and if I were to search on GNOME Shell extension, this is asking the system to list to me anything that begins with GNOME Shell extension. GNOME Shell extensions, and there are many, add extensibility to the interface. In other words, you have a basic graphical interface called GNOME Shell, and there are third-party products that are enhancements to it that add additional features, which is good. And some of the ones that I have chosen, I feel help minimally with usability. One is Dash to Dock, which basically takes the default behavior and extends it a bit in terms of the menu system. If I bring up my browser DWB to full screen, and if I move my mouse to the left, out comes the menu. This is something similar to what you might have seen in Ubuntu. And it lists I've attached my favorite applications. And if this is DWB at the top, if I right click on it, anytime you open an application, you can add it to your favorites. If you add it to your favorites, it becomes anchored to this menu. So there it is. If I tap my super key, the Windows key, once, the system will go into a mode that shows you your currently opened applications. Obviously, I'm running Vocal Screen, and I have a terminal open, and I have my browser open. Along the right is another extension which allows you to, it adds some additional intelligence to the default workspace management. And as you can see, I have two workspaces. The second one, I'm double clicking, has nothing open in it. And were I to open GIMP, which is basically a tool for artists and people who want to edit images, photographs, etc. It is now open, but it is open on a second workspace. In Windows, you don't have the concept of a workspace. If I hit my super key, Windows, and just go back over to my first, intelligently it's dynamically opened a third workspace. If I go back to the first workspace, double click it, I'm back into the first workspace. And if I go to the right margin and just go double click on the second, I'm back to the second workspace. So it can help you in managing clutter and keeping things compartmentalized as you do your daily work. And I think that's a good thing. Workspaces has been available with all the graphical UIs, and this is how it behaves in GNOME Shell. Top of your menu, you have activities. If I click that, elicits the same behavior as though you were to press your Windows key. If I, on my dash, go to the 9 dots at the bottom and click that, the system will show me available applications, and it's sorting them into a category of frequent, and I can just scroll up and down through it to look at my applications. I can use a radio button over here to get to the bottom extent, top. I can go to all. Alright, I clicked it again, the 9 dots, and I'm back to my second workspace. Going back to my first. I'm going to open something called Tweak Tool. Genome Tweak Tool. It's not installed by default, but I think it should be. Nonetheless, I installed it because it has some things in it that avail the user to managing the customizations for their system, the appearance. The default theme for Genome Shell is called Adwaita. That and 50 cents will get you a cup of coffee, but it's become the standard interface, default interface with Genome Shell. I've chosen to install Fenza icon set simply because I like it. If you were to go and download a custom theme from, say, genomelook.org, you would be able to then select it from here to enable it. So let's see here on the desktop. There's various things that one can do. I've chosen not to turn the icons on the desktop, but some people like to have icons showing on their desktop. I don't find personally it necessary, but that's up to you. The background and the current wallpaper that I'm using, etc., etc. Extensions. As you can see, I've experimented with a bunch of extensions to find which ones are useful, which ones are not. And I particularly like Dash to Dock, which is what you see over here. And let's see. Open Weather is nice. If I go up here on the top bar, I've got my weather. It's a nice clean interface, informational. That's Open Weather. MailNag. Essentially this I hit the gears and it brings up the customization. Not to get detoured here, but if I type MailNag config, I just want to show you that there's a configuration screen where one can do or turn it on or off and set up email accounts, two of which I have on Google. One is for my Google Apps for Business, and there's a plugin tab. And notifications will automatically come to you when MailNag finds new mail. I find that particularly convenient. Once you've configured it, the system will automatically search it so many minutes, and it has just brought me up a new notification. And as you can see, MailNag is running in the background as a daemon. All well and good. So that's a good one. For those of you who want to have an application menu, you can. And I've just enabled it in the tweak tool. And here is the application menu. I don't find the need for it myself, so I have intentionally left it off. This is the, if I click on the date shown, it shows you a calendar. And if you're using Evolution for your email, and I am, Evolution allows me to download from Gmail into Evolution my email and process it locally, which I do for security reasons. And if you're using the calendaring features in Evolution, which also sees Gmail's calendar, you have a calendar of events for your day, tomorrow, and the whole week showing to the right. It's nice. You can control the settings by hitting date and time settings. That's fine. I'm using AM/PM format, blah, blah, blah. That's fine. Workspaces to dock. I couldn't remember what they called it, but over here to the right is your Workspaces to dock. I recommend that. How do you get these extensions? Well, you'll notice down at the bottom there's a link for Get More Extensions. I'm going to click that. And you'll notice that my browser opened the Genome Shell extensions website. All the extensions are available through the website, and some, to a large extent, are also available in the repository. You can pick and choose how you want to install. I think it's probably easiest to use the website, and I'll give you an example. Some people like the traditional applications menu. They like the places menu of Classic Genome. They miss it. Well, you can still have it. And let me just go back to the tweak tool. Let's just, for the heck of it, put the application menu back on. There it is. Very nice. You can see the application menu. You can open it. Terrific. Let me hit my super key, switch back to the browser, and I'm on page 1 of those extensions that are compatible with my version 3.14.1.5. You can also look at all versions if that should interest you. There's ways to control and override using a different version that is not compatible. I won't get into that here, but let's go down and say I've got the applications. How do I get my places back? There would be one right here on the top. If I click on places, and this bar, slide the bar, the system shows that it has been turned on, and as you can see, it's present. So if you want places, you can have it. I am going to simply turn it off, and I'm going to go back to the first screen. In my history, I'm going to go over to tweaked, and the applications menu I am going to turn off, and as you can see, it's gone. I really don't see the need for it personally, but that's up to you. I installed System Monitor also. You can always bring up the bottom of the screen by pushing your mouse down to the bottom extent, and up comes a message tray. This is a message about MailNag. This corresponds with the message listed there. Were I to click on either of these, it will automatically open Evolution Email, which is nice. The CPU load is shown here. The amount of memory relative to total memory is shown here. And this controls the notifications. Either they're on or they're off, and you can go into notification settings and selectively disable or enable which applications are entitled to use the notification message tray. I have been selective about that. I have found that in certain instances, applications require you to turn it off. It will slow down the retrieval of information when you go into your dash. But not to confuse you with facts, this is where you go to toggle on or off which applications communicate with Genome their messaging information. Globally, you can turn notifications on entirely or off entirely. All right, so that's Genome Shell Extensions. That gives you an idea of the extensibility of the Genome Shell. This aspect of Genome Shell is very nice, and it keeps growing. There's new developers, third-party developers around the world who are writing these extensions or modules, if you will, to provide useful features. Fonts. I happen to like the Droid font, so I downloaded the Google Droid font set. And I'm using aliasing because it just reads better on an LCD display, a netbook. If you close the lid, by default, it puts the computer into suspend mode. Startup applications. These are what I habitually start up. Why manually start them when you can have them automatically start up? This is where you can add applications that you wish to have automatically start every time you start your day. Top bar, show the date, show seconds. Now it's ticking off seconds. Show week numbers. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything in the week numbers, but in any event, that's off. Typing, I've done absolutely nothing here. Windows. I have turned on the maximize and minimize buttons. By default, they're off. Minimize, maximize. Workspaces is currently dynamic and it's set to 4. And that's the tweak tool. It's very, very handy. In fact, really, I think it's essential because otherwise it becomes necessary for you to do some stuff from the terminal, and I think most users won't be interested in going to the terminal. Very user-friendly. I hope Genome will simply incorporate it as a default. Makes no sense to not have it as a default because 99.99% of the users are going to want it. And, I'm an IT technophile, and I want it. So you can imagine what a regular Joe Average is going to feel. Enough said about tweaks. How do you get to settings? You instinctively might want to go to settings to do some things. Well, I could hit the super key and type in, just guessing at it, and there it is. Excuse me. And when you become familiar with using Genome Shell, some things you'll just remember by habit as you go along. If you can't remember, you can still get the settings from the top bar. Here. Gets you to the same place. There it is. Oh, let's say I wanted to go in and add my picture. You could add the picture right here, as I did. Adding new users. You would have to unlock it to go into administrative mode. To do that, from here, this arrow takes you back to the settings screen. Adding a printer, fairly common. I guess I have to unlock it before it'll let me. That makes sense. That's probably the most common thing that people will want to do. Add a printer that they have connected at their home or at work. But what other things here are? Oh, background. That's my currently selected background in the shell, and at the login screen, this is what appears. It actually appears in the screensaver mode. The login screen is just a blank slate gray, which I like. This is at the lock screen. If I go into background, there's a bunch of default wallpapers. You can add your own, whatever that may be. Let's say I wanted to change it. It's looking in my pictures directory. Say I wanted to change it to this. I used this for a while. I thought that was minimalist and easy on the eyes. Let me change that. That is now the background. And if I just minimize, there it is. I don't know, what do you think? I think this is nice, too. What else can I tell you? I mean, there's a bunch of stuff that you can get into as you use it. You might want to add a piece of new software. And if I just type SOFT, and this program allows you to add software. Written by Genome. All the applications installed. everything that I've installed. If I want to force an update to occur, go to the Updates button and hit refresh. I don't know if there's any updates. But it will check for updates periodically. Didn't find any. I presume it's looking. Refreshing the catalog, I can only hope. Can't tell. Well, this is beta. This is not expected. It was working nicely a little while ago. Well, my vocal screen may be slowing it down. I'm not sure. In any event, this is the software application where most people will go to add new applications. Oh, let's see. Files. You want to go and look at your files. No doubt. This little file cabinet brings up the file manager. Nice, simple, clean interface. Windows Explorer. Essentially works the same way. I have it set to show the sidebar, show hidden files. In Linux, you have what are called hidden files, which usually are used for configuration. And if you have that box unchecked, you simply don't see them, which can be good. Otherwise, it might clutter up your list and keep you from finding what you're looking for. See, these are hidden files. Bash profile, the cache, the hidden subdirectory. I won't elaborate anymore on that. Most of you are familiar with a file manager, Windows Explorer. any application you have open, if you want to have appear on your dash, right click it, add to favorites while it's running, and it will be added and remembered. LibreOffice by default is installed, as well as Evolution Email. I'm using Corebird for Twitter. The terminal, for those who hang out in the terminal doing stuff. You'll note that I have the menu turned off at the top. If I go to Profiles, Profile Preferences, I'm using Droid Sans Mono for the font. In the Colors tab, I'm using the Solarized theme, which is a new theme for the terminal, borrowed from the appearance of the Sun Solaris terminal sessions. That is the current text color. I think it's nice. In fact, if you're in a terminal and you use any N-Curses application, such as Vim, everything is in Solarized. Gedit, I just pressed Alt F2 to bring up the Run window, and I'm loading Gedit. If I go to Gedit's Preferences, Gedit sees the Solarized theme, which is nice. Let's try dark. For you, those of you that do a lot of coding, I'm just bringing up a source code file just for the heck of it to see what it looks like. it is in dark. And there's light. Light is not bad. It's pleasant. Okay, solarized theme. As you can see, it translates across the ncurses applications, and interestingly, gedit that looks nice. Easy on the eyes. That's the key if you're going to do a lot of this, so you don't go blind. Okay, let me close that. You get the idea. So the super key will always take you to this screen, and it will zoom down any of the open windows. If I hit the super key again, it takes me back out. Super key. If I take my mouse and jam it in the upper left-hand corner, it does the same. Second jam, it puts it back to normal. Really, you can spend, if you're from Windows, you don't lose any of your skill set, really, if you think about it. It's different, but really, it's not difficult. You just have to master a few simple concepts, and you'll be on your way in a matter of probably an hour. New users, maybe a little more. Maybe a little more time. Still, I think you understand now what Fedora, the next Fedora 21 workstation, is all about. I think I will end there, and I thank you for watching. Bye.